Great. Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. Hey, today is a great day for a Pirate Broadcast and interviewing interesting people doing interesting things. And I just want to welcome you. I know that we're going through the whole election thing, so calm down, everyone. It's okay. We still have a pandemic on our hands. And I just want to let you know that we could be found on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also Twitter. So depending on where you hang out, where you want to hang out, and where you want to get your information, go there and hang it out. So I have an interesting guest in the house today. Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator, and we're going to be talking about innovation, talking about creativity, and what it means to be a polymath. So, Dustin, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning to you.
It's a great day. The sun is up.
Yeah.
Day is moving forward, and we're here having a great conversation and sharing a few tips, I hope, for the audience, nuggets of knowledge. So first of all, I know, I have a diverse background, a very diverse background. And I'm not really sure. I want to kind of dive into this idea of poly innovation and what it means to you and how you came up with this philosophy and this idea and how you're sharing it and what's your journey to this point in time. So give us the backstory, Dustin, and walk us through this.
So growing up, I was always interested in being an entrepreneur. So even at age 10, I wanted to have my own business selling temporary tattoos. And then as I got older, I'd be like, okay, I want to be a CEO. So the ambitions obviously grew there a little bit. And then for some reason, as a teenager, I'd always say I wanted to be a CEO of an international company driven to innovate technology and ideology. And those were the words that were coming out of a teenager's mouth. And I was thinking, okay, what do I do about that? Well, how do I become a CEO? Well, college didn't really find me a good fit for it. And I was like, okay, so if I'm not going to college for it, and what do I need to do? I decided to work on this company I was wanting to make called the United Living Construct, which was supposed to be a hub of innovation. So people all around the world could work on projects together and actually get some stuff done and make a change.
Right.
I felt like it didn't really work out too much. That's what really got me into content creation, though. So I started doing that back in 2011, 2012. Because of that, I was able to learn how to create content, learn social media marketing, even back then. And I brought it back around 2015, 2016. And around the time, I was like, I need a personal brand, too, because I need to exemplify my own traits, and that'll help me with United Living Construct. So I created PolyInnovator at that time, or actually, as I called it then, a Polyulcian. So Ulcians are kind of like the people of the United Living Construct, these uniters, the leaders, the creators.
Okay.
And I had this idea of a polymath, but in that sense, so a polyulcian, and that evolved because it doesn't roll off the tongue very well. PolyInnovator, and that's where that idea came from there.
Very cool. Very cool. So it was an evolution, and much like most things, we have this idea, and it's a seed that gets planted, and then we have to kind of test it out, and especially the entrepreneurial journey is never a straight line. It's never a straight A to B situation. It's one of those, that's not going to work very well. And then let's adjust it here and make some innovations and adjustments along the way. So what adjustments are you making right now? What is it that you're focusing on in terms of bringing the audience together or bringing the content together? Or is it content based or community based at this point in time?
Both, but at this point, since the community is small and traffic's very low, I focus more on the content. And it's funny about you saying bringing things together, because I've been blogging, like I said, since the early 2010s, but I've been on so many different platforms. I started out with WordPress, then moved to Wix, then moved to Medium, which that was a whole debacle.
That's a whole other adventure.
And recently I moved all 100 plus stories because I actually made 2 publications, PolyInnovator and Living Construct on there. I moved both off of Medium and onto Substack. And I was also trying to do a daily writing habit as well. And so I had all these different blogs everywhere. And I also had my main one on my site. And I decided to move to Ghost CMS. And so literally this past couple days, I've been spending all my time manually moving. Huh?
How do you like Ghost?
I seem to like it a lot more. Ghost is so minimalistic, and that's such a nice feeling considering after dealing with WordPress for so long.
Yeah.
It's so clunky.
And for those that aren't in the tech space,
Yeah.
Ghost is a platform much like WordPress or Wix or Squarespace that is a platform that you can actually produce some actual content. You can share your content on. It's a platform that you can share content on. So I suspect I've seen Ghost. I've opened it up. I haven't really created anything on Ghost recently, so I'm sure that it's changed and evolved since I looked at it, I don't know, a few years ago. There's a couple other platforms that are emerging as well. I've noticed on Reddit and CMS tools that are coming out. And what I see the trend is very minimalist.
Yeah.
Thin, lightweight, built for speed kind of platforms. Is that what you're looking for with Ghost?
No, so since everyone's evolved from just doing blogs, like you're doing a live stream right now, which is going to get repurposed into a video. I'm sure from what I saw from all the stuff from you that you're going to turn this into micro content. You might even transcribe it. There's content repurposing is almost a necessity nowadays. And so we're creating multi-format shows.
Yeah.
And yet all these content management systems are focused solely on the written portion. And yet we still have podcasts, we still have, and my case, PolyCast, and videos, and all these different areas that are creating content. I wanted a site that can allow me to exemplify all those content pieces. So if you go to the site, you can watch my videos, you can go listen to the PolyCast without having to leave it. And my main series, actually, this leads me to PolyInnovator a bit, is the OmniContent, where I literally focus on that. I create a blog post, I turn that into a slideshow. I might get that part out, though, because I'm not sure how I like SlideShare anymore after they got bought out. But I use that slideshow to make a video, and then I turn that into a PolyCast. And so I have a whole cycle there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's like the Pirate Broadcast. The whole purpose of the Pirate Broadcast is to experiment with the broadcast in the morning and podcast in the afternoon. It's a transcription. It's on all, multiple channels, not all channels, but
right.
It's on multiple channels, and the ability and the opportunity to share our conversation is compounded now.
Yeah.
And the downside of that, though, and Dustin, I'm sure you can probably have some, thoughts or share some, information about this, is how do you attract or how do you manage these platforms effectively? Because you go to, YouTube has a different personality than Twitter. Twitter has a different personality than Facebook. Facebook has a different personality than LinkedIn. So the challenge that I run into often is how do I invest time and effort into those platforms to make it personal enough that I'm attracting an audience and a community there, as well as continue to, manage my clients and my workload and everything else, day-to-day life and things that come along. So it's a balance. So how does a PolyInnovator work on that stuff?
Well, actually, it's kind of a great thing. A PolyInnovator, for those who are listening in, though, is a polymath of innovation, which we'll get into what a polymath is here in a little bit. But I like to take the polymathic approach to everything I do. And so I think that's the same prime example there when it comes to the platforms and learning about the platforms, being curious about them. If you're just on there for the sake of being on there, and I've been there, I've been doing that too, it's not very good. And so you often find a way to repurpose your content enough to where you can actually be on the platform, and you have to actually use it. Go on there, engage with people, and use it. For example, I've been on TikTok for nearly 2 years now, since Musical.ly, and I actually go on there and use it. Granted, it is a time waster, but it is enjoyable. It's much more enjoyable than other platforms at this point. I get my news from there. I get people who I know are trustworthy, like even like the Washington Post is on TikTok, and it's interesting just being able to see some election results or something like that from last night, which we won't get into, but it is interesting how they were making videos about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always the front page of the internet besides Reddit.
Yeah. True. And you can't avoid some subjects. However, I think it's really fascinating. And I've always been curious. I've been completely curious and even since the early days of technology, you know, the last century, I started in technology. So you can actually identify, you know, some of the content that I've created years and years ago. And so it lives on and it continues to breathe. And it's like, okay, well, continuing to innovate is really what it's about. Keeping the curiosity live and keeping, you know, maintaining some skills in some of these areas. You know, I still build websites and I still, you know, create content for other people and I produce shows for other organizations. And so it's really a bit about how you fit into that role. And am I a content creator? Yes. Am I, you know, a show host? Yes. Am I a consumer of content? Yes. You know, all of these things blend in together after a while for some people. And like yourself, you know, you're creating all over and you're creating a lot of content. You're bringing people's attention to what that means and how that takes place. So where do you see the trends going now that you're on Ghost? And you know, 2 years into TikTok, I mean, you know, where do you see that evolving?
So for one, I'm happy because I was able to consolidate all my posts into Ghost. So that's 180 blog posts over the past decade or so that I've made or revamped over the years that I was able to now finally have it all there. And once you have a backlog like that, then you can focus more on the future. So you don't have to worry about people getting scatterbrained on your brand, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I see the future as something is you have to be experimental. You have to go on new platforms like TikTok and experiment with it. And Gary Vee is always right when it comes to some of the things he talks about. A lot of people think he might be a little too eccentric at times, but I do think that when he says go on LinkedIn or go on TikTok because they're underutilized platforms, he was right. I've seen literally people in 2 months get 1 million followers. There was this one girl, call me Chris, who I saw 7 months ago join TikTok. Like I literally saw some of her first videos, and now she has 9 million followers. 9 million. I've been on there for 2 years. I barely have a little under 3K. And it's like, it's insane just the viral growth you can be on that platform. LinkedIn is another platform that was like Facebook when it, like Facebook back in 2009, something like that. That's how LinkedIn is now, where you go on there and you get organic reach. If you create content like articles, those do really well. People see it. CEOs see it.
Yeah. It's amazing how these evolve and the virality of content and how it evolves is really, I think, more fascinating than the fact that, you know, how it takes off. Some of the platforms that you thought might take off and, you know, like nobody's talking about Snapchat now. You know, nobody's talking about what's going on over Snapchat. At least I don't hear it. Maybe it's, and I think that's the other part of the equation is unless you're all over and you're really testing all of these out all of the time, sometimes what shows up in your feeds based on the algorithm is kind of what you're doing, which is kind of, that's the reason why you have to go out and test other things is to evolve your algorithm, evolve your visibility into what's taking place. Because if you're not staying on top of stuff, all of a sudden you get in a groove and all of a sudden it disappears.
Yeah.
It kind of goes away. Has that been one of your experiences?
I mean, there are certain aspects, and for those listening in, I'm sorry, they're doing construction outside, so you might hear that.
It doesn't come across, Dustin.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I can hear it really loudly, so I was like worried about it. And thank you, Wendy, in the comments. So when it comes to some of the platforms going away and issues when it comes to this stuff like that, because like you said, no one's talking about Snapchat anymore. I do think that there's a purpose on being some of those platforms, especially if you enjoy being on that platform.
Uh-huh.
But it is trial and error, and if something doesn't work, get rid of it. And so that's what happened with me when it came to like Medium and some of these other platforms where I was like, okay, I tried being on a platform. I even tried blogging on Quora or Vocal.media or even Kotaku. I tried blogging on all these different sites. And partially I just wanted to have like the backlinks to the site.
Yeah.
But I decided to consolidate all that because then it made it more conducive to people actually understanding the brand more. And considering polymathy itself is kind of a complex subject, I felt like when it comes to platforms, I did need to simplify it despite the fact I want to be omnichannel. So I do think there's sacrifice involved when you opportunity cost. That's the right word.
Yeah, there's opportunity cost. I like that. The biggest challenge I have right now, and this is what fascinates me, and I'd like you to kind of expand on it for yourself, and is that all of my work that I have, generating revenue right now is a direct result of having relationships I've built either online or in person. And I know that there's a lot of people that work really hard online to get business. And, you can get business online and you can book business online. And the plus and the downside is once you get really busy, it's harder to stay busy online. It's hard to participate on some of these platforms, and it's like, okay, well, it's like you have to find the balance. What's the groove you're going to get into, and where do I fit and where do I feel right, and being innovative enough to stay consistent and curious and present, and still maintain a balance of revenue and business. So how's that process work for you?
So I'm still working on that. And one of the reasons why I moved to Ghost actually, because I was so frustrated by all the different social media management tools and custom management systems, content management systems that I was thinking about making my own, either through Bubble.io or trying to find a way to learn the code, stuff like that, because there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to take a paragraph out of my blog post and automatically make that into a tweet. If when I make that paragraph, I mark it with some kind of marker in the CMS and have it automatically tweet out. And so there's Rebel Mouse, which is a CMS that is pretty janky looking, but it does something like that, where they have their article accelerator or something like that. And it's interesting how I wanted to try to do something like that when it came to omnichannel marketing. So if you can automate as well as repurpose, I think that's the key right there, because that way you're not remaking more content and using up more of your time. All you're doing is chopping up the content more. It takes like half the time to do it. And with tools like repurpose.io or even StreamYard and all these different other platforms that get you many places at once,
right?
And you can find ways to automate certain platforms. For example, I'm on Pinterest. I'm not active on Pinterest. I just have my Instagram posts.
I'm on Pinterest too.
Yeah. I just have my Instagram posts go over there, or I'll share stuff periodically. But as long as I have a slight presence, and just from that, I get 1,000 to 5,000 views a month just from the automation.
Well, and as somebody that's on the back end of the CMS, it's you're looking for backlinks and things like that, and it's really interesting. And sometimes I sit back and I'm thinking to myself, it's almost like a chess game. It's you're playing chess with the algorithm. They change the algorithm and highlight different things at different times. And a year ago, my views on video were extremely high, and now they're not as high as they used to be. And I know part of that is because one, I'm not chasing the algorithm. I'm just doing my show, doing my thing, and sharing awesome people like yourself doing amazing stuff. And if I were chasing the algorithm, I would have a whole series of things that I would be doing during the show, after the show, next week, and just to continue to keep it keep it fresh and keep it alive and repurposing it over and over again. And
Yeah.
that's the way podcasts grow as well, is repurposing it. It's just one episode is not just an episode. It's continuation. It's like some of the episodes that I've had over the past year, I've got almost 280 episodes right now in my inventory. So that's a body of work. That's an amazing body of work that a lot of people don't realize that there's that much content there. And so I could send that out again in different ways, in different formats, and like repurpose.io. Hanny Mora, who's the developer, we're friends, and that's a great tool for that purpose. And there's tools out there that you can do that with, and it's like you said, sometimes they work well and sometimes it's just work.
Yeah. I had Hanny on my show too. I met him when I found repurpose.io. In fact, back then it was small enough to where when I went on to the little message like, hey, I need some help to learn more about this, it was him responding to me. And he just hopped on a call with me. It was fantastic. I love him so much. Sean, this conversation's about like content management systems and marketing, that kind of thing. And speaking of the algorithm, a lot of the social media websites that I was reading, like on CoSchedule or Buffer and all these different blogs, they often talk about the best time to post. And so one of the reasons why I had such bad luck with social media management tools is that you can't really make campaigns with most of them unless you do it extremely manually, which in this strategy is not really viable. Because what I want to do is create a post the day of, a day later, a week later, a month later, half a year later, and then a year later. And I don't really want anything after that because that's too much focus on that. But most of it, like this video here, we might be talking about certain platforms, but it's still pretty evergreen. If someone were to see this 2 years from now, it'll still be really great information, great mindset, and stuff like that. And Polymath is definitely going to be around then too. Oh yeah. And so this video could be shared out a year or two from now. And that whole strategy there is just to echo it out long enough so that people can actually get a chance to see it.
It's a long tail effect.
Yeah.
It's long tail effect. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to some of the individuals that have joined us today. It's always the pirate. I was on with Gabriel last night. Good morning, gentlemen. Gabriel, I hope you're doing well. Hope the show ended well for all of those that joined in. Hyatt Ives, thanks for joining us here today. Paolo from Italy. Hello, everyone. Again, interesting. Again, an interesting pirate. And then who else we have? Gabriel. Oh, Gabriel. Good morning, everyone. And then
I saw Wendy in the comments. Yeah,
Wendy's in the comments here. She's an awesome pirate. So wise, so young, so inspiring. And Dustin is cool too. Love you, Wendy. Thank you. Mary Ellen Shea. This is good stuff. Thank you so much, Mary, for joining us. I appreciate you. And then also Jeff Young jumps in. Jeff, I haven't been. Thank you so much for joining us. Good concept. Post once, repurpose everywhere.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Exactly.
Network and make all sorts of terrific energy. The LinkedIn Guru. Good morning. Pirates from Columbus, Ohio. Jeff is an amazing individual that always is out helping others. Sean, what is this conversation about? Sean, this is about technology and content creation. Michelle, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Russ, are you saying pirates don't chase algorithms? We only chase booty? Pirate booty, of course. Well, we chase all kinds of pirate treasure. That's what I got.
We take the tides of the algorithms. We sail the tides. There we go.
Sail the tides of the algorithms.
You should write that down.
Yeah, write that down. That's a great subtitle. So what's on the future? What's on the horizon for your experience and growth and expansion?
So you mentioned you have a big backlog of your show. I actually have multiple different series for my PolyCast. And so I had these little micro episodes and the normal sized ones. And then the OmniContent, like I mentioned earlier, gets repurposed into PolyCast. Around May, though, I decided due to the quarantine to start doing interviews. And I had always really wanted to do interviews, but I never really knew how to get started. There's this tool called matchmaker.fm, which is a fantastic tool. And so it's one of those things where I was able to meet people with that tool. And actually, at this point, I've interviewed almost 70 people on my show. And it's only been since May. Yeah.
Good deal. So how long have you been on Matchmaker?
Since the beginning, basically. I was one of the first 30 or 40 people on there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I've had quite a few interviews. People jump on the show from that that platform. So I really enjoy it. And then also we have I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a couple other platforms that are out there that I've been involved with over the years.
Or podcast guests. Podmatch or podcast guests.
Yeah, that's one. I'll have to think of them all and put them in the show notes and share them out. But I don't know if people are looking for more shows. They're looking for more guests, activities, and more. Are you looking to be a guest? Or are you looking to be? Are you looking for other guests to be on your show?
Both.
That's the question. It's like,
yeah. I think that just if you can get your word out there, like go on some other people's shows. One of the reasons why I said yes to this show is because I thought it was cool, but it's also a chance to be on another show. And I'm happy that I've been on there because we've been able to roll from the very beginning. I was a minute late and we were able to just get straight into it. It's perfect. And a lot of other shows have been like that as well, where All In with Rick Jordan, we literally just jumped right in. No chance to breathe or anything like that. It's like, okay. And so sink or swim in this case. And so,
absolutely. I want to make sure that we, so where's the best place for people to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing?
So
I know you're on LinkedIn, you're on a few other platforms.
Before I go into that, I want to make sure I mention before we close the polymath aspect, because I didn't really quite explain that. Polymaths are someone who is heavily knowledgeable or interested in many different areas. And it's not like a jack of all trades, because people say the jack of all trades, master of none, but also sometimes better than a master of one is the full saying for that. And when people get the realization of a jack of all trades is something better than what it actually is perceived to be, people can understand polymaths more. So polymaths are multi-specialists. They have a deep level of knowledge in many different areas. And that's what I'm aspiring to be. And that's who I'm hoping to inspire with my show, where I go and interview multidisciplinary people. So people can find my show at pod.co/polycast or my website, which is moving right now. So there might be some funkiness if you go there when I'm changing domains.
DNS is not our friend always.
And so, PolyInnovator.space. And so you can find pretty much all my stuff on there. Even on the new website, I'm going to have a hard time with some of the links, but I'm going to try to make sure you can find all the links on that site.
Very cool. Very cool. I love the idea because, there have been times in my life, I've been a farmer and a firefighter and IT director and a safety director and, all of these different disciplines. And each one has its own characteristics, and nothing is perfect. Everything has its journey, and so I just really I've always enjoyed the journey of learning.
Yeah.
And then once I get to a certain point, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go learn something else.
That's what you got to do, though. It's constant stimulation, constant learning, indulging your curiosity. And I see in the comments here, Rick Wolf, he says, does he call his fans polyamorous? Well, it doesn't really have anything to do with polyamory, but I call my fans innovators for innovators.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks for bringing that up. It's really amazing to me, the diversity in the community here in the poly innovation, and also the pirate broadcast. So
you got pirates.
So we got lots of pirates crossing over and doing some great work here. So you'll be updating the website, making sure that people could come and find you, and then you'll be hanging out. Where do you like to hang out primarily?
Yeah, that's a good question. For right now, I've been focusing a lot on Instagram and TikTok, just because those are where the more obviously like ancient platforms are. When it comes to LinkedIn, I really do want to scale that up. Part of my OmniContent strategy is to make a LinkedIn article every time. It's related to the actual main episode, but it's not necessarily a extension of it. It's actually a separate entity. So I like to do LinkedIn articles. I like to connect with people on LinkedIn. Like you sent me a connection request, and I'm going to go on there right after this and accept it. And so it's one of those things too where I like to talk to people on there and make friends and find polymaths.
It's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dustin, for being here today. I just really appreciate the fact that you're here, sharing a couple of ideas and concepts that probably not everyone is familiar with. And I just really appreciate that. And I love the curiosity. And I'll have to go check out Ghost as well. There's one I saw in Reddit the other day that it was like, okay, I don't know if I need to go down that rabbit hole or not. So it's like, and I'm not a programmer. However, I would love the opportunity. I keep thinking to myself, somebody's going to come up with these Lego building block style programming elements that I could assemble something and have it become a program that I want to do something with. And it's
someone has. There's two websites that come to mind, actually. Webflow for web design and content management system, or Bubble.io for
Bubble.io I've looked at, yeah.
I've looked at it, and like I don't like it so much when it comes to the graphics designer and me and the UI designer, but I can use Figma and use that to design the front end and then just put that into Bubble.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes more than one tool, right?
Yeah. No code stack, as they say.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. We love to have you join us, make comments, get involved and engaged, reach out and connect and have a conversation today. Don't be afraid to, connect with some of the individuals in the feed as well, because we're just here in the pirate community having a great time and great conversations. So as you always know, kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy the day. Don't go away. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the